Welcome to the Carr Brothers with Jeff, Jack, and Jody Carr. They talk about current events, politics, community, and business. Take it away, boys.
Well, hi there. Welcome to the Carr Brothers Show. It's episode 169. I'm Jack.
And I'm Jeff.
And I'm Jody, the third of the three Carr Brothers.
Fellas, we have a great guest on this evening. We're going to talk about a topic that has been front and center for a few weeks now since the provincial budget has dropped. We have Danielle Connell with us, the president of the Agricultural Alliance. We're going to talk about provincial veterinary services today. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
So tell us, just tell us a little bit, maybe a little background of yourself, and then how long you've been the president and how it's been so far since you've been the president.
Born on a farm in Jemseg, grew up, my father and mother operated a commercial broiler operation. We had a strawberry and apple U-pick. My husband and I purchased a farm just down the road in Lower Cambridge, so we are commercial sheep farmers, and we operate a licensed and inspected abattoir, processing our own lambs. And I have been the president of the Agricultural Alliance almost as long as this issue has been a topic. So I was president for about a month, and then this dropped. So trial by fire, and honestly, I wouldn't change a thing.
Wonderful.
So you're not new to the agricultural world, obviously. You've got a lifetime of experience in it. Your whole life you spent on a farm, basically, but you bring a unique experience, I think, to the Alliance and the industry, is that you also work a lot on the policy side of the business, and you understand all of that, which is a great advantage, I think, for the Ag Alliance, the equines, the beef farmers, and involved with the veterinary services. So tell us how many members you would have, I guess, and what your umbrella would cover in your alliance.
That's a good question.
Because I mean, for the folks out there watching, the provincial veterinary service, we're thinking mostly, I think the viewers are thinking mostly, I guess for lack of a better word, horse owners, hobby farmers. But tell me, like, the Ag Alliance carries quite a broad swath of membership.
We do. We'd like to hit 1,000 members in 2026. All commodity groups are represented: dairy, beef, equine, bees, sheep, goats, chickens, turkeys, egg producers, fish. We now have the Atlantic Fish Farmers Association as members. If you're growing something for food, you can belong to the Agricultural Alliance.
Now, where do the vegetable folks fit in?
They're in there big time.
They're in with you as well. Okay.
Potatoes, New Brunswick, the fruit growers, wild blueberries, apples. All of the greenhouses, our greenhouse members are really awesome. Like, for example, Strawberry Hill Farm, farms like that. Big members.
So a wide range of membership, of course, and they're all agriculture related because they produce food for all of us.
Everyone is welcome
commercial,
at the Alliance.
Residential, markets, and all those things in between. Yeah. So you became the president in January, and then basically a little more than a month later, the provincial budget comes out, and bam, you're hit with this. Tell us about the first few days of that and how things were. I mean, before you were able to bring everybody together. And
we had no advance warning. No one had any idea this was coming. I got invited to the lock-in on budget day, which was very exciting. I'd never been to that before. I just gobbled that up. I found that fascinating. It was a very interesting day, and that's where we learned there was good news and there was bad news. There was a new additional $2 million in the budget to help execute on Department of Agriculture's action plan, which was very exciting. There was an additional $750,000 for the local food and beverage program, which is also very exciting. The downside is that the budget also included the elimination of veterinary lab services. So there was the bad absolutely overshadowed the good, unfortunately.
So tell us about the veterinarian lab services for people that want to, maybe are just joining, haven't been following it completely closely. The veterinarian and lab services, so the budget decision was to eliminate it completely. And what what is that service?
So our province is one of the few remaining provinces in our country that have a publicly funded veterinary system. So our entire province is basically one veterinary team managed by one department.
And it's serving the members, basically members of the Agricultural Alliance, or people that
All
produce
livestock owners of the
all
province.
livestock owners. Okay.
And unfortunately, there are some smaller farms that they have been turning away from service just because of lack of capacity internally. But really, speaking to the veterinarians, they were saying that in 2026 they were really starting to get ahead of that backlog, and they were actually quite excited to start being able to chip away at that wait list of farmers who were hoping to become clients of the public vet system.
So what's the mandate or the purpose of the veterinary service and lab service? Like, what type of services are they providing? Do they fix broken legs? Or are they doing
They do it all.
inoculation? Just tell us about
So,
that.
for example, my farm, I have the veterinarian comes once a year, so we establish that veterinary-patient relationship, and you have to have that in place in order to purchase medications for your livestock. So they come once a year, they spend an hour or two, where they visually inspect all of our barns, we review our vaccination schedules and deworming programs. We'll look at feet and eyes and skin and see that they're walking and there's no lameness. We'll talk about our breeding program. We can troubleshoot some issues or bounce some ideas off of them. And we're lucky in that we have a fairly good background of using pharmaceutical products on our farm, and they have a lot of confidence in our abilities. So I'm really lucky that I can email my vet and say, hey, I need a refill of such and such. Okay, it's ready for you to pick up tomorrow in Fredericton. It's wonderful.
Right.
And the prices are very competitive because it's a public system. They've had to keep the prices at fair market value. So it's wonderful to be able to have the privilege of using our public veterinarians. Another important service that they do is emergency after hours.
I was going to say,
It's huge. So at 2
You
a.m.,
first explained
right?
the ideal situations, basically your yearly
checkups.
visit, and
But when your horse's guts are in a knot
yes,
at
that's
2
right.
a.m. and he's kicking and thrashing and sweating and looking at you saying, do something, I can pick up the phone and say, I need you. And they're there in 45 minutes. Apply that to a private vet situation, and the private vet doesn't have to answer the 2 a.m. phone call.
Right.
Private vet can say, I don't want to service your farm. I don't want you to be one of my clients.
And all of the service, so you said the medications, the pharmacy part, that's fully recovered or fully charged off to the farm, or is that subsidized, the medications? Or
I think on the pharmaceutical side, we've got a little bit of a gap to make up.
Okay.
Where maybe that may be where the $4 million deficit lies. A deeper examination of the books is definitely required to identify exactly where the loss is happening. But as we've said multiple times publicly, the farmers are more than willing to make up that difference.
So
So
they've
right
not
now-
shared those, really got into the details and shared those gaps with the stakeholders. Like Minister Finnegan said on the floor on Tuesday, last Tuesday, a week ago in the legislature, maybe it was Wednesday, that they were continuing to work and have dialogue with stakeholders, but they've not shared a lot of that information that would allow you to help them, basically.
We've seen a very rudimentary spreadsheet, which really didn't tell us much.
So the bottom line is there's a budget for the veterinary services, includes the medications and the lab for testing.
All the equipment.
And there is currently a co-pay, or at least some sort of pay by the users at this point.
Oh, yes, we're paying.
Almost half, really. It's
Yes.
Okay.
you pay, I think the minister said the revenue was close to $8 million and with a deficit of around $4 million.
Yeah.
So you're just you're saying about the users are expected to pay. It's not a free ride.
So typically the budget would be we have to save money. So if they're looking to try to cover $4 million, they can either cut the whole service as an option, or they come back to the users and say we need more money. And you're saying, the Agricultural Alliance, on behalf of your members and the users, that you're prepared to make that gap up.
because we will do whatever it takes to retain our veterinarians. We cannot function without them.
Right.
And why is that? Why can't you just, why does it have to be provincially run? People would like to know. Like, why does it have to be, like, you need your veterinarian? Is it just because of the type of province we have? Is it?
Yes, we need public vets because when we call them at 2 a.m., they have to come.
Yeah.
Right.
They're paid to come.
Yeah.
If they have to drive 3 hours to do a 1-hour service, they're paid for that time on the road. A public or a private veterinarian is not.
Okay.
So why would they drive 6 hours to get paid for a 1-hour task? And the mileage subsidies really don't make up for that. So the nature of our province, if you're in southern New Brunswick and we go private, you're probably going to be all right. We've got Dairy Central in Sussex. We've got great public and private vets in Sussex. If the public goes away and they're just left with private, they'll probably be all right. There's commodities that really don't rely much on the public veterinary system because their commodity requires real specialization. And there are large companies who literally fly in their veterinarians from out of province. They come and spend a couple of days. They pay a fortune, but they want that specialized service. So really, our public veterinarians are generalists. The private ones really don't want to be a jack of all trades. It's very expensive to have all of those meds on hand and all of that equipment, and to have that background just doesn't really happen.
You would think that another response to that question of why is perhaps why not? Why not have the province stay in this business for public safety, for service, to make sure there's an equality of service and access across the whole province? And if the issue is a budget issue, the Alliance has said we will pay the difference. We have a structure, it works. Just increase our copay. And what's the response been by government?
That it's not actually a money issue. We took the money question off the table, and their decision remains the same.
And what do they say the issue is?
It's not a sustainable model, but we feel that that's a problem we can solve.
With money. With copay.
Yes, or changes to policy or legislation, or let's make it easier to adjust the fees. Let's not make it so cumbersome. We firmly believe that the system we have now with our public vets, and we haven't even mentioned the lab yet.
No.
We have a world-class lab, diagnostic lab that helps us control diseases like rabies and other zoonotic diseases that will kill us.
And this lab is different than many of the other labs across the country?
Our lab in New Brunswick is unique in that it supports other provinces. We do receive samples from, say, Nova Scotia, for example. They rely quite heavily on the New Brunswick lab. We have world-class scientists and technicians there. This lab has been open for over 50 years. I've heard longer. They're very, very good at what they do.
And where's it located?
Right in Fredericton on the experimental farm.
Okay, that's where it is. Yeah. So you've got the lab, which is one huge component of it, and then you have the field vet services. And again, Jode was asking maybe some more. You met with the government. So basically, the announcement was made, the budget was dropped, caused a huge outcry. Don't know when we've seen something similar to this huge outcry and just caught on by wildfire, and people not even involved, not even owning livestock or having a business in livestock are seeing the importance of this.
Yes.
So that must be something to have everyone band together, a lot of people band together in this.
I think it's something that's really brought the province together. I think rural New Brunswick is often underestimated. And agriculture is certainly underestimated. Half of our farms in New Brunswick are small farms with no employees. It's mom and dad. And if they're lucky, a couple of the kids help out on the weekend. We're everywhere. And we have lots of animals. Maybe we don't have 10,000 head of cattle, but we've got 50. And we need that vet to pick up the phone at 2 a.m.
Yeah.
So you were able to, as the Alliance and a group of stakeholders, meet with the Premier and the Minister. Minister Finnegan, and we had Minister Finnegan on here I think we had him for 15 minutes, which we were fortunate to have him. And he talked then about, he remembers when the Soil Services Lab left the province and went to Prince Edward Island. It's not quite the same as having a soil lab when you have live animals that need veterinary and lab services. So tell us, I guess without telling too much maybe,
Oh, no, tell us much.
because you were in a meeting with the Premier and the Minister. How did that go?
Emotions were high, but at the same time, I've really got to underline that when this all came down, within 24 hours, we had our committee. And we had every livestock group in the province at the table, reading from the same script.
That's amazing.
Of the same mind, looking for the same outcomes. So if anything, it's really brought us together. And we've joined forces. And, this is not a battle. We're not going to war with the government.
You just want to help.
We just want to help them find the way forward.
Right.
And this is not a time for mudslinging, name-calling, nastiness, negativity. We are trying to emulate the bargaining partners that we want to see on the other side of the table. So coming with ideas, being honest, sticking to the facts, using the truth. And we really feel we've got that on our side.
But you had the meeting with the Premier and the Minister, and did they kind of just say, leave it with us, or let's continue dialogue, or because we know that they've delayed the first phase of phasing out the veterinarians for the equines. They've delayed it to the spring. So,
Yes.
And we've also seen other ministers of government that are not responsible for agriculture speak about it. Minister Heron, Minister of Natural Resources, spoke somewhere at an event. He's in the media saying that this will either get delayed or maybe even shelved. So what's been the latest from the top dogs in government, I guess you
The
could say?
mixed messaging is a little difficult. But if we use that to our advantage, then we show that, there's cracks in the idea. So let's explore why we don't have complete alignment. Let's say the meeting with the Premier, we were really glad that she made the time to meet with us virtually. And she did give us more time than she really had planned.
Okay.
So that was nice. But at the same time, the meetings that we're having with the minister and the deputy minister are discouraging because there's no plan. It's just throw a bomb over the wall and then measure how big the hole is. That's a horrible
That
way
sounds about right.
to fix something.
I know.
It's very cruel.
We've seen
and it's
all different
caused a lot of
approaches, haven't we?
damage.
Well, and it's unnecessary.
Yes.
Didn't have to be like this.
No.
So basically you didn't increase your confidence
We didn't
in the government
learn-
on this issue.
We didn't learn anything new in our
Other than
meetings.
seems that the department and the minister have their mind made up. The Premier's come to a meeting. Did she ask lots of questions? Because I've been in other meetings with other stakeholders, and she seemed to ask a lot of questions of their stakeholder groups because she wanted to learn more about what was the real issue. But
I don't recall her asking many questions during our meeting. It was more everyone around the table just getting their ideas out on the table and really their disappointment in how this was done, and the unrealistic expectation that our veterinarians who are working like dogs are going to take the time to sit down and figure out how to do something they've never done before.
right.
And that government is saying, we have an open door. You can come and meet with us. Come and bring your plan. Well, the vets don't have a plan. They don't want to go private.
and they're not necessarily business
Not at
owners or
all.
business experience. They're vets
in government.
in government,
Right.
not
Public
not
systems.
business owners.
Not-
Now we're
yeah.
government's asked them to maybe start a business. So anyway, we got a break.
Yeah,
We do need to take a break. We're going to come back right after in a few minutes and continue our discussion with Danielle Connell from the Agriculture Alliance.
Well, hi there. Welcome back to the Carr Brothers Show, episode 169. I'm Jack.
And I'm Jeff.
And I'm Jody, the third of the three Carr brothers. Welcome to tonight's show. We've got the president of the Agricultural Alliance of New Brunswick, Danielle Connell. Thank you for being here, Danielle. And if for our viewers and listeners, if you're not fired up yet over this issue, you just wait till the full hour is finished on this show, because we're going to get down into more of the details about what's happening with our agriculture industry and the provincial government's decision to cut the veterinary services and lab services. Thank you, Danielle, for being here.
Thank you again for having me. It's a pleasure.
Joe, you had some questions of just reviewing again, because it's like any issue, people will learn and be aware of things at their own pace and their own time. And a lot of people know about the issue, specifically your members and their family members and, you know, people that watch the news a lot. But there's still a lot in the population that they're still trying to figure out what's the big deal about this. Mm-hmm. In fact, I saw a post on one of the Facebook sites, actually one of the posts I shared, said, I don't agree with the government paying, I don't have to pay for my cat or I have to pay for my cat and dog services. People in livestock should have to pay for their services, and so there's still a lot of awareness that's needed, I think. Mm-hmm. And definitely. Joe, and that's what your point is what was the service and what was announced, and what does it
timelines
mean?
Well, just exactly what Jack said. What was announced in the budget? What was announced specifically, and what was being cut when, and what's been announced? That a whole vet services, the whole lab services. So by the end of this fiscal year, March 2027.
Yes. So by the end of March 2027, it will be the end of veterinary services for all livestock in the province, which is a 10-month window.
Yeah.
One of our frustrations is that this is being touted as a 3 to 5 year phase out.
And where's that coming from?
That's coming from the
Minister.
Premier and the Minister's office. Yes.
But that's not what's been announced but in the budget.
Not particularly.
Okay.
So then,
So the livestock vet services will end in March 2027, and then they have the lab services will still be phased out after that.
The feasibility study will be completed by 2028, and they say that nothing's been decided about the lab, so the decision whether to keep it open or to transfer it to RPC will be made in 2028.
We have the vet services. And then we have the lab services. So the lab is not part of the budget cut in terms of by March 2027. No. So the lab will stay open, and they're going to review the
So that's the longer window.
The viability of that.
Yes.
And I did see where RPC, a Crown Corporation of the government, said that they'd be doing a feasibility study.
That's all been studied before.
But 2028 for a study. I didn't realize it was going to take that long to do a study. That's probably the longest study in the history of New Brunswick.
Well, here's the other thing.
It hasn't begun yet, but
it's
no wonder. They have until 2028.
Yes. But it's already been studied. Part of
Government Renewal Committee.
Government Renewal, and Blaine Higgs was finance minister.
I was on that committee.
It was in the cabinet, and they were going to discuss all the lab services in New Brunswick was reviewed.
Yeah.
And they were going to look to see if would they all be needed, would they be eliminated, was there any opportunities? And that work should be on the shelf somewhere.
A little over 10 years old, basically. Not much more, 12, 14 years old.
Probably the same concepts. Mm-hmm. We test water, we test this, we test that in this lab and that lab.
Yeah.
So anyways, that's not
But they're stacking the deck in the government's favor, because if the provincial veterinary services are phased out, so will be the customers or the users of the lab service.
And so therefore the lab. So it's setting it up for a slow death.
So it is setting it up for a slow death, and it basically they're going to skew the research or the results on the feasibility study of lab services by 2028.
But in the end, which is very interesting, is
are we off here? Are we off?
Should we let
I think you get it.
Yeah.
So the savings to government is the $4 million for the vet service. Mm-hmm. So the $4 million vet service, which is currently an $8 million budget, that's subsidized by $4 million of a copay of the users.
But I think that includes the lab services as well when it's connected to vet field services.
To be determined.
Okay, yeah.
So we're not quite sure on the details.
Know because they're not open with their.
But what we do know, since this has come to light, we know from the Agriculture Alliance, Danielle Connell confirmed again here on the Carr Brothers Show, that they're prepared through the Alliance and the members, the users, to make up the $4 million deficit, the shortfall that the government says they need to correct in their fiscal budget.
Yes.
So if part of the viability of these labs, well, the issue's been solved. The users are prepared because this service is so important. They would make this vet and lab service cost neutral to government. Case closed. Why are we still talking about this?
Right.
And what's your understanding then of why are we still talking about this if the Alliance is willing to come up with the costs?
Difference.
We have yet to receive a really clear response to that question. I think the Agriculture Alliance has done an admirable job debunking the myths of the value that equine community provides to our province. And let's get a definition of hobby farms, because half of the farms in New Brunswick are classified as small. Most of us have off-farm jobs, but we work damn hard. We feed people in our community. We're producing food. There's a lot of value in that. So, saying you don't want to service hobby farms, who are we talking about? People with 10 chickens or people with 100 cattle who have a day job?
Right.
Just because I don't have anyone on payroll doesn't mean I'm not feeding people.
Absolutely.
So, and could they not look at a differential rate or fee for service?
Absolutely.
And
they
you
can.
said there's a lot of hobby or smaller farms that are on the wait list to get services that aren't being served right now anyway. So, so it just
More
seems
revenue there too.
there could be
potentially.
more revenue, but it's not like that. Not everyone, but a lot of people, these people are just horses. But just tell us about the horses as an example, the equine. Like, why is that important?
Our research has shown that we've got a low estimate of 14,000 horses in our province. Could be more like 20.
Wow.
They consume the equivalent of $20 million worth of hay, which is cut on 30,000 acres of land, which for the most part is in the FLIP program and must be maintained and kept ready for agriculture use. So thank you, horses, for keeping our pastures clear, ready for food production and livestock pastures.
There's all this upstream, downstream connections.
And then
Think of all the kids that are running around those horse barns. That's the future employees of our departments of agriculture right there. Those are our future community leaders. Farm kids, if on their resume they finish grade 12 and hand a resume that says, I grew up on a farm, you've got the job. You problem solve, you're brave, you're strong.
flexible.
You can do lots of different things. You've got a ton of skills.
You know how to get up before daylight. And
You're incredibly
water and shovel.
employable.
Yeah.
So let's have more of those kids, not less.
And the other, Deanna Phelan was on our show there when we first did our first show on this, and as she mentioned, she's with the Equine Association, is that because there's 14,000 plus horses in New Brunswick, using the vet services, it's probably the biggest group of users that's
Definitely.
contributing into the pool of revenue
Yes.
for all of the others.
Yes.
And that's why the Alliance certainly values the horse owners and things like that. I don't know if I can say that about people in government, things that I've seen of statements, but that's a huge stakeholder, and they're not officially a part of the Alliance, but they're certainly a part of your.
They are. We have many
They are.
members
Okay.
that are equine.
Oh, really? Okay. Just because that you said anyone that produces food, so
Well, it's livestock.
okay,
It really,
livestock. Yeah, they are in the
you know,
act as
yeah.
down as being livestock.
And there's lots of people that are still using draft horses to produce
Okay.
food.
Yeah.
Speaking of Mr. Hornbrook in Sussex, who's using teams of draft horses to clear woodlots in a sustainable way that doesn't damage the soil.
Yes.
Perhaps this is the future of sustainable forestry. Maybe it's a small piece of the pie, but it's important.
Well, look at food security, and you hear that's being talked about more and more: food security, food independence, price of gas, world events, tariffs.
So something like this gets
Yeah.
people thinking about food doesn't come from the grocery store.
That's right.
It comes from a farm.
Yeah.
So we've got to do a good job of reminding people where your hamburger came from. And let's also remember how quickly the grocery store is emptied when the pandemic hit.
Yeah.
I believe it took between 3 and 4 days.
Yep.
And there wasn't much to choose from in the grocery store.
Nope.
So in this decision to eliminate the field vets and the lab is actually a perfect storm, because the lab is so crucial. You can speak more about it than me. So crucial for public health and disease control and prevention.
Yes.
So if you eliminate, the government eliminates the lab, an epidemic, pandemic is
Could
created.
take much longer
We've
to
also
identify.
hand-strapped hobby farmers, anyone that produces food. There's a shortage on that end, and then more of an increased risk in public health. Then we're going to be potentially worse off than we were during COVID.
Yes, and especially pertinent for the quota commodities,
Right.
Poultry and egg. There are poultry farmers who, their eggs have to go to market. Those eggs have to be tested very, very regularly, constantly. And it's very fast turnaround when you only have to send some eggs to Fredericton. Big difference having to send them to Winnipeg.
Okay.
So that is part of federal, provincial regulation, safety regulation.
Dairy farmers
and
have to
drug,
have
yeah.
a veterinarian on their farm checking the herd every few weeks, or no one buys their milk.
Right. So there's a lot at stake here. There is a lot at stake here, and groups like your own, the Ag Alliance, and all of the, I guess, the veterinary service users that fall within that have to continue to be active. The opposition's been pretty vocal, I've noticed lately. They've done a lot in the legislature. Last Tuesday, there was 183 supporters and members in the gallery.
That was a good day.
Yeah.
Tell us how, and for anybody that's watching, you can go on the legislature website, Google New Brunswick Legislature, and you can find the episode if
May
you
the 7th.
search hard enough for May the 7th. That's right. Session started that day at 1 p.m. right after lunch with all the formalities, and then you get to question period. And then so tell us how that went.
So that was organized by the equine community
Oh, wow. Okay.
over Facebook.
Right.
These folks are active, and
Very.
they are organized.
Yes.
And they are determined.
Yes.
Passionate.
Very. They wear their hearts on their sleeves. So we had 183 people show up. We were disciplined. We were respectful. We filled that balcony. We
Inside the
had
legislature.
former premiers. We had retired veterinarians. We had a school bus full of children and a lot of horse owners. We had a lot of dairy farmers from the area, beef farmers. We had backyard poultry people. And we had concerned citizens who just understand where food comes from, and they wanted to show up for us. So we filed in, and for a lot of people, it was their first time in the legislature. So it was a
those
real learning
deep stairs.
experience. Yeah, smells like a museum.
So
Beautiful building. Fascinating to really be part of the democratic process. It was wonderful to hear question period and to see faces on both sides of the house look up at us and smile and acknowledge us, and genuine, they look like they were really glad to have us there. So listening to the questions that were posed by Mr. Kuhn and by the Progressive Conservative MLAs really got down to the heart of things. The why and the what and the numbers. And it was discouraging. One of the more discouraging things was that the Minister of Agriculture had the same response for 4 different questions. So they didn't really appear to have done their homework. They didn't really come with
New information.
evidence to back up this decision. So it was just another kind of disappointing day dealing with our government. But on the whole, it was a wonderful experience for all of us. It's wonderful to just be together in person, and there was hugs, there was tears, there was high fives, lots of pictures taken down after it was over. The media was there. It's just important for everybody to get together, and just that sense of fellowship and unity and showing that united front, that we care. We're not going to take this rolling over, that it's really, really important to us. So it was wonderful to see all those people come.
And where is it where's it at right now? I guess we probably talked about that already, but I can't quite remember. Is the government interested in looking at a different model or to continue the program with more copay? Are there discussions? There was a meeting, but what?
Government wants the Agriculture Alliance and the committee to keep coming to the table. They want us to come with solutions. They want us to come with ideas, and we're fully prepared. But we expect the same from them.
Right.
And that's fair enough.
Yeah.
So it shouldn't just be like, you're not in the business of government and organizing this service. You use the service, so the government should have some information and some ideas of what they'd like to see, and you'd like to have a little bit back and forth, and that is shortcoming right at this moment.
Yes, and it's disappointing when their offer of support for the veterinarians that are looking to explore privatization is to help them fill out grant application forms.
Guarantees and grants, is there?
Grant applications to subsidize the provincial service, or to
subsidize their privatization.
To set up their own businesses.
Set up their own. Help them fill out grants.
So the government and the alliance were on track for monthly meetings, and I think I read somewhere that since the May 1st meeting with the Premier and the Minister, the alliance has stopped saying that we'll meet monthly.
We've pulled back and said we expect better.
Right.
So do some homework.
Come prepared.
Come prepared. And don't just invite us to a meeting and say, this is how it's going to be.
Here's the coffee and muffins. This is it.
Not even that. This is how it's going to be. Come to the meeting and say, this is an idea. Let's look at this. Let's have the vets in the room. Let's give them the microphone and allow them to speak freely. Let's talk about, what could this look like? What could that look like? Could it be a veterinary co-op? Could it be a crown corporation we could stand up for veterinary services? Is it maybe we stay public in the north, where we don't have that deep concentration of livestock, which would make privatization next to impossible? Maybe we should be public in the north and private would work in the south. Let's look at,
brainstorm.
Do the homework.
Question I have is, how many MLAs are interested, members of the legislature, in government? In particular, how many are interested to know more from the alliance of what is actually happening in government? I've been a member of government. If you're not a member of cabinet, even sometimes you're not a member. Sometimes even if you're a member of cabinet, you don't have all the information, and you're told to believe what you're told. But are you getting some communication with government members as well to say, this is what this really means?
I think they know as much as we do.
Yeah.
I think every MLA in the province wants to know more. They want to see the numbers. They want to hear the reasons.
They're asking questions too, and that's a good position to be in. If people are asking questions, right from the Premier to the Minister, politicians, well, we don't know everything, but if you get them to a position where they are asking questions and you're providing information, I think that's a good position to be in right now. And I'd like to think that this is a political perspective. This is a political budget decision, or a decision that was made in the budget that's causing a lot of attention away from other budget decisions potentially. And from a strategic point of view, maybe you don't work to fix it so quickly as a government politically, and you just let that permeate some. But I'd like to hope that, into May and June, you keep these discussions going and get a favorable response by government. The government has shown before that they've responded to pressure and to common sense. And
so we need to take a break, but when we come back, we want to understand what the vets are saying, the veterinarians themselves and their associations, and what they're saying when we come back right after this.
Okay.
Well, hi there. Welcome back to the Carr Brothers Show. It's episode 169. I'm Jack.
And I'm Jeff.
And I'm Jody, the third of the three Carr Brothers.
Well, we're pleased, as you've been watching, and if you're just joining us, we have the president of the New Brunswick Agriculture Alliance with us, Danielle Connell, and we've been talking about the government's decision back in March when the budget came down to eliminate something like 23 jobs, a whole network in the province for vet services, field vet services, for basically a service for New Brunswickers that have livestock, and also the lab that goes with it. nationally renowned lab, provides service in New Brunswick that other labs do not provide in Canada. So we're very pleased, Danielle, that you came here, gave us some time, gave us a little bit of background on this decision and where we're at now. So essentially, vet services will be eliminated at the end of March 2027. The lab is being assessed, I guess, whether it's feasible or not, and other options, and then a lot of mobilization, you were saying, by New Brunswickers, but what else is still yet to be done to, I guess, convince government, because as you said, they haven't been very transparent and open about, first off, what the problem is and if there's even a solution. What more can the Alliance do? What's on the horizon, I guess, and to be able to, I guess, get this issue going a different direction?
Well, for those who may have been around the last time we went through this process in 1999-2000, it took some pretty wild public protests that may have been a little gruesome, but that's what it took to turn it around. That being said, it's 2026.
Yeah.
And being wild and obscene and gruesome is really probably not the way we're going to fix this. We're trying to stick to the facts and the truth and coming with ideas and optimism. Mm-hmm. As hard as this gets, we try to stay optimistic and positive that good will come of it. So next steps involve public awareness and education, understanding what food security, what food safety means, understanding the role that our veterinarians and the lab plays within those getting food to table. That it's all got to be in place for everything to move smoothly and for the people of New Brunswick to have access to safe and healthy food. Another next step will be engaging with an external consulting company. We haven't signed on the dotted line yet, but what we're looking at is to bring in some real specialists that have a national in scope, reach and breadth and deep understanding of government relations and lobbying and what's required to move the needle on this. So we'll be thinking a little bit bigger moving forward, maybe a little bit louder, maybe even a little bit smarter about what we're doing. So far, I don't feel like we've moved the needle very far. It was a win to get the equine deadline extended by 3 months, but it's a very small victory.
Yeah. Yeah. And so what are the vets that are the government employed vets in the vet field services program? What's been the latest, I guess, with them? What are they saying? What's happening? Have you lost some vets because of trying to look for future jobs?
Haven't lost any yet.
Oh, good.
But we know that some have had job offers.
Yeah.
They have sent resumes around, because if you're 25 years old and you have a mountain of student loan debt, what's stopping you from going to Ontario and making way more money and having a much smaller geographical area to cover? It's very tempting for them to leave. But they love it here. They don't want to leave. They're being put in an impossible situation. I think for the most part, our veterinarians want to maintain the status quo. They want to keep doing what they're doing. They are very passionate about it. It's their whole lives. They eat, breathe, and sleep livestock, and we don't want them to leave. There might be a handful of veterinarians who are actively exploring going private, and they're communicating with us of what they think that might look like, and it might mean they're going to need between $50,000 and $100,000 a year for 3 or 4, maybe 5 years to get it up and running for it to be viable. So we're not talking something you can just pick up and do tomorrow. It's really complicated and really expensive. So we are maintaining direct lines of communication with the veterinarians and with their union, understanding what they need us to do. We need them to stay, we need to protect them, and we need to design a system that supports them so that they can do their jobs. So we are taking a lot of direction from the veterinarians themselves.
Yeah, that's good. Public health. We talked a little bit about it earlier in the broadcast and how it's connected to the lab and the lab services. Explain again how public health is how this issue is connected to every single New Brunswicker. It's not just livestock owners that are users of this service. It actually affects all New Brunswickers for food security and food independence, but also talk about public health. What's the angle there?
It's the zoonotic diseases for the most part.
And those are such as?
Diseases that can transfer from animals to us, either through contact or by consumption. So, for example, avian influenza comes here on wildlife and gets picked up typically by backyard flock. And then that gets transferred to our commercial operations where you've got 10, 20, 30,000 birds in a large barn. And then you've got a real problem. And then you've got a major emergency on your hand where a farmer may have to cull 30,000 birds because
wasn't controlled.
So the lab and the vets help
keep a very
prevent.
Close eye on it.
Oh yeah,
Prevent,
very
diagnose,
close. Yes.
all those sort of things.
Monitor.
Monitor.
They know, veterinarians know where these backyard flocks are. They maintain communication with small farms and educating them about what avian influenza looks like, how to spot it, and if you spot it, you call your vet immediately. The vet flies out there and takes a sample and whips it over to the lab immediately, and you have your results in 24 to 48 hours.
So there you go. So the light bulb sort of came on for me on this issue. On this specific is, so the vet services side of it, it's not just the lab that's vital for public health, it's the vet services as well, because if it ever came to be privatized, well, currently vet services provide services even for the small backyard
Yes,
flock,
absolutely.
as you mentioned.
Yes.
Well, if this turns
That's a
into
public health
privatized,
service.
Yes.
the numbers, if you're trying to run a business, well, you might not go to that backyard flock.
You wouldn't.
Because it's the 20,000 that help pay the bills.
Yep.
But it's the small flock that could actually affect that 20,000 and every other New Brunswicker.
Yes.
So the light bulbs come on as for part of this issue of
all
how
connected.
vital it's all connected.
Yes.
It's not one or the other,
Could
or we
become
can
a
keep the
public
lab,
health
but we
crisis.
can't,
Yes.
provide for vet services.
Well, then that vet service is the connection to the lab and connection to the public safety, public health. Where does the rabies part come in? Like, who does the testing and how does that come to the lab? Like,
It's up to the public to keep your eyes open, and when you think you've seen something that looks like rabies, you pick up the phone and you call your vet immediately. The vets come out, they will euthanize the animal, they will take a tissue
but
sample.
you call the provincial vet service,
Yes.
and then they take a sample and then they bring it back
Goes
to the provincial lab. Oh,
It's tested, and then it's the veterinarians in tandem with other government departments, maybe a DNR, that put out rabies traps
Bullets
with the bait in it to treat the situation and get it under control. So you take that out of the public vets out of that equation, and it all kind of falls apart.
Yeah. Well, like you said, if it was to go private, there's no obligation for a private vet to pick up the phone or even be available. But with the current system, they're on call 24/7.
and guess what? Probably the government will have to buy that service and put the money into
It'll
it
cost
anyways.
more.
Right.
It'll cost
cost
more.
more.
It'll cost more.
No,
Not that I know this
get
from
me
personal.
riled up here.
We don't
we're
know
not.
this from personal experience.
but
We're not.
This is-
We're not implying in any way, shape, or form that the private vets are lazy people.
No,
it just doesn't fit in their business model.
No, exactly.
To make it work, make it viable for them.
It's access, travel. It's the
Right.
economies
Just
of
the
scale.
numbers,
It's
economies
the
of
Well, when
numbers.
you're doing
Making a
business in your business plan, you have to go where the money is.
The other issue that doesn't fit in the private model is dealing with animal welfare cases, where the
Right.
SPCA.
Tell us more about that.
So, a government vet, if they receive a complaint about an animal welfare case, they are obligated to go. They go, they investigate. If an animal needs to be euthanized, they deal with it. If they need to be relocated, they make the arrangements. A private vet can just say no.
yeah,
Right.
A private vet will not be paid to testify in court in an animal welfare case.
Right.
So when we go private,
protection of
Missing
animals will be diminished.
Which cause an awful lot of concern to people. You see in the news when there's multiple numbers of, or just one, like horse or other livestock, if they've been treated mistreated,
Yes.
it causes a lot of emotion for people, and we need to know the importance of that function as it relates to our vet service and our veterinarians.
And if we switch from public to private, it's going to become immediately more expensive to call your veterinarian. So those farms that are operating on a very slim budget, they're just not going to call.
So, and then, so when things, you see where things will get worse, whether it's public health, safety of animals, and if there's an epidemic, or if there's, some more
outbreak.
public safety, expenses for whether it's charges, whether it's this, that, court cases. So when you actually add it all up, and maybe that's why the government doesn't want to give the numbers, because if you actually gave the numbers of the $4 million that is eliminated, well, how much are the costs going to be to the government for all these issues that are going to rack up? Maybe that's why they're not giving the numbers on the table, because that's enormous. And you either pay now, which is a lesser amount on the front end, or you're going to pay a lot. The government, and therefore taxpayers, are going to pay a lot on the back end. And then it's almost too late when we eliminate that
Once
lab.
you eliminate the service, it's
hard to get them
stand it up.
Hard to recruit vets after they've left, and then it's a lot harder after the fact. And then you say, "Oh, sorry, we made a mistake." Well, let's get it corrected and let's do it the right way.
Well, and
now.
And I mean, I was part of the government in 2000
Yes,
when this
you were. You didn't even know about it.
The dumb decision was made. I knew about it after it hit the newspaper. Holy jeepers, we did. But these things do happen. But governments are able to say we're learning from it and we're going to make a reversal, because this is where this idea came from. I don't know, but it doesn't make sense overall. And the Agriculture Alliance still, obviously has hope and users and in our province. But why wasn't there a feasibility study done with the veterinarians the same way there's been one done with the lab? Why did we just cut that then and not say, let's see about the vitality? Is the private sector able to absorb this? And how many of the vets would go into a private sector? What would the charges and the rates have to be? What's the liability? What's all of this? And it doesn't sound like that work was probably done either. So it could be a logical reason to say, look, if you want to look at everything, put it all off the table until 2028. Review everything as it packaged together, and you've got a willing partner that's willing to pay $4 million. Let's do it.
Yeah.
So as we wind down here to the end of our segment in our episode, Danielle, thank you for being here. It's great. We've been talking back and forth since the budget came down, obviously. Parting remarks. What do you want to see happen in the short term and obviously long term, and how do you make that work? Like, it's a unification, obviously, but what is your final words here?
Is for the general public to continue to do their bit and educate themselves on what it means to get food to the table and what this really means for the people of New Brunswick. I think it's important for people to do that work. I would ask that the commodity groups continue to stay united, and we're just making great strides together, working together. Collaboration is never a bad thing. And my parting comments to our government is, it's never too late to change your mind. And if you want to show true strength, you can say we were wrong. Let's do it right. Let's pause. Let's sit down. Let's take the pan off the burner. We don't need to have it at a boil. We can find a path forward, whether that's a combination of public and private. Is it a crown corporation? Is it a co-op? Whatever it is, we'll get there, but not with a hammer in your hand. I think there's a much better way to do this, and we're absolutely ready to come to the table and do that.
Oh, wow.
It's a great message.
That was great.
Message. Thank you, Danielle.
Good way, and it's a good message to New Brunswick and our viewers, and we want to thank our viewers. Thank you, Danielle, as well.
Thanks for having me.
From the New Brunswick Agriculture Alliance, Danielle Connell. And thanks to our viewers for watching this episode and all the other ones, but
it's an important topic.
We'll keep following up on this, guys.
That's right.
Certainly will.
Thank you.
All right.
All right, well,
Until next week.
Say goodbye.
Good night.